Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pushing 10. The conclusion of award season is here. The 95th Academy Awards were just yesterday, and today we're going to react to what we saw. I thought it was a much better ceremony than previous years. We were just discussing that. My name is Matt. I am here with Scott. Pick me a winner, Despins.
I didn't do as good as last year. Last year, I got one wrong. All year, I've been waiting to gamble on Academy Awards. I got one wrong last year. I went 22 for 23, and I said next year's going to be my year. I got like three wrong, which is surprising to me, and we'll
Was
talk
it
about
three?
those. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I did quite well across the board. So
You don't. I don't. If you want to dive into exactly what happened with that, I'm sure everyone wants to
no,
hear. If you want to
sure.
save it
Let's
for
talk
later,
about
I
let's
definitely want to
let's
hear
save it
the
for later.
story.
Let's talk about the show. I thought myself too. I thought it was a great show. I watched it with my wife Natalie, and her parents came over, and I thought it was just right off the hop. I thought an excellent monologue. You know what's really funny? I despise stand-up comedy. You know this. I don't quite like stand-up comedy. But my favorite thing, like literally favorite thing in the world, is award show monologues. Like they are
Mhm.
by far this exact same thing. It's just I love award show monologues, and I thought Jimmy Kimmel did a phenomenal job. I thought it was fantastic to start the show.
I thought it was good. My girlfriend
Okay,
Ruth was like, "Why does he keep picking on Steven Spielberg?"
there was a lot of that was like kind of awkward, but it was fine.
She was really rooting for Steven this year too, and at the end of the show, I was satisfied with who won because many of my
Yeah, of
picks
course.
walked home with Oscars. She said, "But Steven didn't win." I was like, "He didn't win last year either. He's lost more than he's won, but he's been nominated 700 times. Let's root for him the next time he's
And
there."
they make a similar joke to that effect with John Williams, where nominated 52 times, only won five, not great. So there's like that joke too. So they know it. The Academy knows it. Yeah, I know. Steve Spielberg was front and center at a lot of the awards, and his shadow casts large. We'll talk over the awards from the beginning monologue to the end. The monologue was hit and miss on a few things, but I do love it. I've been thinking of a few jokes. I've watched it about three times already. But the fact that it gave us the Spielberg part of it, gave us the Rogan Spielberg, Joe and Hunter Biden of the Academy Awards. I thought that was a hilarious jump too. So I thought there were some hits with that.
Um, we'll just quickly recap over the big winners. Everything Everywhere All at Once won 7 out of its 11 nominations, including Best Picture. It won 3 of the 4 acting awards, including Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actress for Jamie Lee Curtis, Best Supporting Actor for Ki Hui Kwan. The Daniels walked home with 3 Oscars of their own for directing, writing, and Best Picture. All Quiet on the Western Front got 4 out of its 9 nominations, and The Whale is the only other uh, multiple winner. It got 2, including Best Actor for Brendan Fraser, and it also won for makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, Scott, we picked. I mean, just about. You said you only missed 3, and
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know if there is any. Were there any? There for me, there wasn't any surprises. Even the
I'll
ones I
tell you.
didn't pick correctly, I was just like, yeah, for sure, that one, of
Yeah, let me.
course.
I want to walk you through. I've been excited to talk to you about this all day. So, and this will be my betting side. So you can do. I did 2 bets. You can do a on score bet. You can do 20-way parlay is the max you can do, which means you can make 20 picks of anything. They all have to be correct, and it increases your odd 20-fold, and you have a chance to win with that. So. Looking at that, I'm kind of kicking myself because I did go 20 for 23 on the Oscars. So if I had bet the 20 that I got right, I'd be fine. The 3 I got wrong were Score. I picked Babylon, Justin Horowitz.
That's right.
We'll get to that. I picked Costume, Elvis, and Hair and Makeup, Elvis. So that was a 20-way parlay. I went 17 out of 20 on that because those 3 I got wrong. So I'm not beating myself up too hard. And I said this to my wife, Natalie, so that was actually what's really funny is that was a $20 bet that if it had hit, I would have won $30,000. I'm not kidding. I swear to God. So I was very excited about that. That being said, you have a tendency of looking back and being like, God, I was so close. I was so close. I kind of wasn't, because I still don't know how Elvis didn't win costume. Like I would have staked, like if it was score, I was kind of hesitant on that, and I was kicking myself leading up to it because the money was going to All Quiet on the Western Front as the day went, and I stopped looking at odds because Horowitz went from like a minus 300 to even money at the time of the show, and I was like, shit, that doesn't indicate a good thing. So I know I might have lost that. But still, I did not think Ruth Carter would have won a second Oscar for Black Panther. And I still kind of don't really see how. First one was such a phenomenon, created a great aesthetic. Second one, I don't think really added to it, in the fact that, well, she was already rewarded. And now this one, you kind of just introduce the Terracon, like Namor's characters, and that's fine. Their costumes are just nothing that's not out of Avatar. Sorry for the comparison. But then Shuri's like wearing like a tracksuit through the most of the first hour of the movie, and it's like, that's a costume. Whereas Elvis, they had to replicate every iconic look that he wore, and there's literally a scene when Austin Butler puts his arms out. There's like 15 costumes that are flashed across the screen that get no time in the movie. Those costumes had to be designed for a 0.1 second of the movie. So even in the moment Ruth Carter got it, and everyone's like, yeah, girl, costume queen Ruth Carter, I was just like, man, Elvis got robbed. I was fine really camping in that Elvis camp, so I'm not too hurt about my picks on that. I just still kind of can't believe that Elvis didn't win costumes. Like, that scene, they're shown for a fraction of a second. Those suits probably took 3 weeks to make. That's crazy. So, I don't know. That's my big takeaway. No one really cares. The big ones all hit. I wasn't really surprised. I hit on all of those bets. We'll get to those. But the little ones surprised me. And the fact that the whale won makeup, I kind of thought they were going to go with Elvis, but that was also one where I was like 55-45, 51-49, coin flip. And ultimately, I guess I shouldn't have, because Elvis was kind of left in the cold. Whale obviously had the lead actor thing, and it is A24. They hit on everything. So I'm not surprised that they went on makeup as well, too. So
do you want to go through these categories?
Yeah, please. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I will pretty much do the same thing we did yesterday as far as the order. Best visual effects, Avatar wins. Best visual effects, we picked that, and no surprise at all.
Yeah, what's so fun about that too is that was minus 3,000 by the time I got as on my one ticket. I did have a ticket that won, so I kind of on that ticket I put a lot of money on locks, like some stuff that I am sure that there's no way that they would lose. We'll get to that in a little bit, because I was kind of hesitant on a few of my picks later, even though that they were all like anything that was minus 400 above. But I got Avatar at minus 3,000. And before the show, we were talking about locks on Friday's show. It went to like minus 10,000, which is like, I've never seen that. That's crazy. You would have to be winning a baseball game like 20-1 in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs to be minus 10,000. So again, just going to Avatar winning visual effects was the biggest lock I've ever seen in anything.
Film editing, Everything Everywhere All at Once took that one. Paul Rogers, the editor.
As it should. I said, and again, as I've been on case, and I'm not going to swim my opinion, I did not like that movie. It won 7 Oscars. I will not come out today and say, maybe I should revisit. I'm not going to like it. I just not, no, the Daniels are not, it seem like nice guys. I don't care. They're not my guys. But that movie would have been an incoherent stew of a mess if it wasn't edited well. Ultimately, that movie is a billion ideas at once. That was another lock that was on my winning ticket, because that movie was edited to create a coherent for some movie. So,
you just mentioned best costume design. The award went to Ruth E. Carter for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, that's why. Again, that's a legacy. She's great. She's one of the most fit. But I am still so surprised that she was already rewarded in 2018. That I don't know if she did anything exceptional for this one. It was a lot of the same. Like, M'Baku's wearing the same costumes. Shuri is just a female version of essentially the Killmonger suit, because there's a mix of the two. I don't know. Great. Cool.
Best makeup and hair, The Whale, Adrienne Marot, Judy Chen, and Anne Marie Bradley. Mm-hmm. Best cinematography, All Quiet on the Western Front, after our conversation, I switched my on our little personal ballot. I ticked that one. I think you were absolutely right. It looked
Mhm.
terrific,
Yeah,
and I was so glad that it won as well. James
it
Field,
was a heavy
cinematographer.
favorite. Yeah.
Best production design, All Quiet on the Western Front. I picked Babylon.
Yeah.
So this was one of the things where it's just like, oh, just a little bit.
Yeah, I might have changed that one because I definitely had on my ticket All Quiet. So I think I was talking about Babylon, but then I
Yeah.
started fading Babylon. So yeah, I'm with you on that too, whether you did. But yeah, that was one as well because I'm like, you know what? I think they're gonna have a big day because like we talked about, Netflix didn't really have a dog in the race. They have a lot of power. And I think they kind of pulled out of the best picture and were putting their attention to winning the other awards. So that's where I was kind of, I think I split it. I think I changed this, but I kept Score as Horowitz, and I should have just gone the whole way.
Best sound, Top Gun, another lock. We
Yep.
thought for sure, and it did. It was top only its only award of the night for Top
So
Gun.
going back to Top Gun, you know what's the one thing that kind of bummed me that I looked at and Kimmel talked about it. How do you feel about? I mean, Cameron wasn't there either, but how do you feel about Cameron and Cruz not being at the Oscars?
Um, I guess they just felt like we're not going to win, so why show
I
up?
thought that was lame as hell. And Kimmel hit the nail on the head too when he's like, the two guys that asked you to go back to the theater couldn't come back to the
That
theater.
was yeah.
And I was like, you know, Tom, I love Tom. Everyone loves Tom. I never jumped off the Tom bandwagon, but a lot of people are back. But it's like, you'll take the acclaim for the last year for saving cinema and saving film. But on a night when we honor cinema and film, you're too busy. You're just like, I can't make it. I'm in my trailer. I'm shooting. I'm editing. Whatever. He's finding a job on Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Right.
But you just can't pry yourself away to go to a 3.5, 4 hour event that honors because you'll take the acclaim all year. You'll take the money, you'll take the box office, you'll take Spielberg thanking you for saving film, but you know we're not going to win, so I think I'm just going to sit it out. I just thought that was super, I don't know, just lame and bad taste. I just thought like just go and smile and be there. Nobody really wants to be there unless you have like a lock of winning. But like otherwise, Steven probably didn't want to be there, but you just enjoy it and support the other people around you, and certainly the new generation, as this mainly was a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. But as well as that, I think go, Cameron, go support your technical team.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
like you said, they're both pretty busy with their respective franchises. It was interesting. You sent a picture in our chat of two other people who didn't
yeah,
attend the
it's
award
fine.
season. They
Yeah,
weren't nominated, so what's the point even going at
yeah,
all? Spike Lee and Denzel Washington sitting courtside at the Knicks Lakers
yeah.
game.
That's the same night. That's why I was gonna watch it on my iPad because I was like, oh, this is a really important game too for the Lakers, and it started at 9 o'clock, and I was like, that just seems kind of weird. Not that anyone cares, but that's at Crypto down the street.
So yeah,
Like
I was going to ask. That
tipping
was
off at
in Los
9.
Angeles.
Yeah, have it at 3. Give them the day game. It makes no sense. And not like people are like, oh, I got to get home and watch the Oscars. But like for me, I was like, well, I'm going to watch the Oscars. I don't know. Why have both at the same time? That seems so odd.
It's not an old well, I would say it's an old habit for Spike Lee to say, "I'm not going to the awards," and is going to a Knicks game
Yeah,
instead. A
for
few years
sure.
ago,
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
know. That's
"I'm
why
boycotting
Knicks are
this
in
year." I
town.
was like, "Because you got tickets. Don't
Yeah.
say it's for one reason when you
That's
know
so
it's for
funny the
another."
Knicks are in town too, of course.
And Spike Lee winning that night because the Knicks beat the Lakers.
Sure, they did. They did.
Um, Best original song, Not to, another pick of ours from RRR. I thought it was interesting when they were doing the songs. It seemed like Lady Gaga said her acceptance speech without actually winning.
So that seems so weird. So the thing was, Lady Gaga, I don't know Hollywood, who knows what to believe, but it sounded like she was not going to be there. Did you hear this?
No.
So she's shooting Joker 2, Joker Part 2, De
Okay. Yeah.
Fale in New York. And apparently, as of Saturday, they were like, she is not going to be at the Academy Awards. Sunday morning, I read online that they're like, Lady Gaga boarded a plane to LA and she's going to make it and perform. And I was like, okay. So she's up there and it clicked because I was like, this is such a weird version of Hold My Hand. Like, why it was like acoustic, it was super stripped down. She was in like a black shirt. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because she didn't, like, wasn't able to rehearse or run through anything So they
Okay.
probably just carved out 3 minutes where they're like, hey, we don't have a big set piece to do for you like Rihanna or anyone else. So just go do a stripped down version. We'll zoom in really tight on you and you can make it like an emotional version of Hold My Hand. But I don't know why she gave that speech about heroes and stuff. I was just like, okay, thanks. Thanks, Lady Gaga. And then she did like a really different sounding version of the song. But again, it was probably because she had planned it on 20 minutes on the ride over.
We watched just before the Oscars started. I wanted to show Ruth the scene of Natu Natu from RRR, and so I just fast forward. It's on Netflix. Just quick scan to it, and just that section alone, she'll probably watch the movie. It's a long movie, but she was so happy to see that performance before the Oscar thing because she adored the song and its use in the movie.
Yeah, I that was one of the last ones I needed to win my big bet. I had a bet that I cleared, and it was all my locks, and it was Natu Natu was one of the ones on there, and I was like, oh my god, if Lift Me Up wins, I'm gonna kill myself because I'm like, this was like a minus 600. It got to minus 800 before, so it was trending in that direction. And the set piece and stuff, I was like, okay, this is great. But then they put Rihanna on last, and she gets this profound dedicated to Chadwick, and I was like, oh my god, the Oscars didn't reward Chadwick 2 years ago. Are they gonna do it now? So she gets like the speech with his face on it, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, it's gonna be Lift Me Up, and then it was not. I like once they said the award, I went upstairs because I'm like, I just got to do dishes during this, and then I heard Natu Natu. I was like, oh my god, my bet just hit. Thank God. So thank God for RRR for winning, pulling out original song.
Best original score went to my pick, All Quiet on the Western Front. I was that of the nominated movies, that was the one that stuck with me, like earwormed me just a little bit. So I
I
thought,
saw.
for sure.
You should have talked me into it a little better. I mean, again, I wouldn't have swayed on costume, so I'm not too upset. But this was one where I was like, Horowitz is not going to win. He won for La La Land. He's young. They know it's kind of going to be the John Williams effect. Like we already rewarded this guy. He does good stuff. It's very similar. And then I think the score was just so much score. And plus Babylon tanked, which Kimmel made a joke about losing $100 million. So I hated that I didn't fade that Babylon pick too.
And just to skim through these, we didn't talk about these categories the other day, so we'll just
Yeah.
hit them real quick. Best animated short film: The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Apple
Best live
TV.
action.
That's I picked that for Apple TV.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So did you bet on these categories as
Yeah.
well? Oh,
Yeah.
and you
Those were
okay.
ones that hit. So I hit like Navlani was on both of mine. That one, Irish Goodbye was one on my like these were on my 20 ones. That's why I was like boom, 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 and then I lost it. But yeah, I had bet on all these too.
So best live action short film: The Irish Goodbye. Best documentary short subject: The Elephant Whisperers. Best documentary feature: Navani. Best okay, and now we'll get to best international feature film, All Quiet on the Western Front. One of those, what, plus 10,000 locks for sure.
Yeah, that was exactly, and it went to it. I think it went to 10,000 before I lost track, but again, it's nominated for Best Picture. It probably came in second or third, probably second on the voting if the tallies were ever released. So it's good enough to win international feature.
Yeah. Um, best animated feature film, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yep.
I don't know if they told him he was going to win because he was
I
just
said the
on
exact same thing. He
stage.
was
I
at the
thought it was so
stage,
weird.
and I don't mean. I think it's probably because they knew and they went to Guillermo and said, "Hey, it's tough for you to get out. He's a bigger guy. Well, like we don't want you out of breath. So why don't you come up here and you'll be ready?" And he looked kind of confused, but I'm like, "Yeah, there's no way that." Because the Academy loves GT. They rewarded on the big picture a few years ago. So I think it was more like a service to be like, hey, why don't you make yourself comfortable over here, 10 feet from the stage, rather than having to come up and walk up the steps. So
Well, I remember a number of years ago they did that for a lot of for the technical awards where they have those nosebleed seats, and they said
yeah,
during commercials that your award is coming up next. Come up to these
yeah,
reserved
it makes
box
sense too.
seats,
Yeah, maybe that was it.
and then when they won, they just had to take a few steps to get to the stage. And I thought that's what they were doing this year, but no, I mean, with the exception of Guillermo del Toro, everybody had to get up from their chairs in the audience.
Yep.
Best adapted screenplay, Women Talking, Sarah Polley. We
Nailed on
picked
that.
that.
Yep.
Was that when we saw that when she won, Ruth was very excited that it happened because we saw that movie and it seemed like to her she was watching a book. And so in her mind, it's like, okay, it was written very well, obviously. So she was extremely happy that it
This
won
was
that
the
award.
one that was like the closest on my big bet that I had it, and I regret not putting the other ones on too. Like I had original screenplay directors on my big 20-way parlay, but my tight 10-way parlay, I didn't put picture. The odds were too low, and I was like, listen, I'm going to be betting $200 to win like 11, 9. Like it's not even worth it. So I kind of regret. My biggest one is regretting not putting JLC on this one, my big money bet. But I had Sarah Polley, which was only like minus 200. So that was what helped me juice the odds a bit. So when she won, I was like, that's a huge chunk that it didn't go to like All Quiet or something else.
Best original screenplay went to the Daniels, Kwan and Daniels, Kwan and Schneider for Everything Everywhere All at Once. In my opinion, the most original movie of the year. So hence they should win original screenplay. They got up to stage 3 times, like I said, and they had 3 somewhat different speeches each time they went up.
Mm-hmm.
I think clearly they thought this through. It's like, if we win, we got to, think of 3 different things to say. And they did that. They were for this speech, they were very much thanking the cast and crew and their parents. And then later when they won director, they got deeper,
Yeah.
and then
teachers.
Yeah, they're teachers. That's right. We'll get into that. Best supporting
Fun fact,
actress.
I want to circle back to Daniels. Fun fact, do you know where they got their technically start in Hollywood? Before Swiss Army Man, what they broke in?
I knew they directed music videos.
And do you know which music video?
Lil Jon's.
No, well, that maybe, but the Harlem Shake is the big one.
Oh.
Yeah, so and I said that to Natalie last night. I'm like, they're the guys that created and executed the Harlem Shake, and the whole Harlem Shake phenomenon was their brainchild. And Natalie's like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, because we saw everything. Like when you see Everything Everywhere All at Once, you're like, holy shit, this is the guys that did the Harlem Shake. That's like the most make sense thing I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, I just thought of that.
I know they directed Turn Out for What.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the dancer in that video, the actress from Glow, I'm blanking on her name. She's in the movie within the movie of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the romantic thing that's playing in the laundromat the whole time. And I was like, oh, that's how they know her, and that's how she got into that movie. Best supporting actress. We'll continue talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Jamie Lee Curtis. I went with Angela Bassett, and Angela Bassett went with Angela Bassett because if you saw her face, there was disappointment when she.
I know Michael B had to console her with a "Hey Auntie" when he came out too. Oh yeah, she looked this. I am so baffled by this because I had Jamie Lee Curtis. I had money on Jamie Lee Curtis. It was I regret not putting it on my big one because I would have tripled my payout immediately, and I should have stuck by my gut on that. Like even people are like, oh, we got to give Angela Bassett her flowers, and I hate that term, give her the flowers. Jamie Lee Curtis has been acting for 60 years. She's incredibly famous. We talked about this. Her parents were nominated for Oscars. Jamie Lee Curtis pointed that out. Angela Bassett is great, but Jamie Lee Curtis is just like in films, even like lesser films. We were in high school. Freaky Friday was a big movie, big movie. Like Christmas with the Cranks is a big Netflix movie. Like, I mean, she is in the public conscious for 60 years. With the biggest franchise of all time, horror-wise, but otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just not shocking. It's not like it's a nobody. It's Jamie Lee Curtis. She's so famous.
Best supporting actor, Ki-Hugh Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. They did their award second.
Yeah.
Usually it was first, and I was like, oh, do I have to wait? Because I wanted to get the big 1 or 2 big awards out of the way before I wanted.
What did you think about the both winners coming doing it together, then doing them back to back?
Yeah, I like that very much.
Yeah, it's kind of fresh. I like that.
His speech, he's been crushing speeches all award season. It was terrific. One of the best things, and it was pointed out today I saw on Facebook, he Harrison Ford presented Best Picture, which they won, and he got to run up stage, and
Yeah.
we got to see Short Round hug Indiana Jones on the Oscar
Give him a
stage.
kiss on the cheek. Yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, we had Indy, Short Round, Steven Spielberg,
They
Willie
cut to
Scott,
him.
John Williams, all in the audience
Temple of
watching
Doom
this happen.
Hive.
Yeah.
I know. No,
I'm hoping there's a picture of the 5 of them somewhere.
I'm
from
sure
that
there was a
night.
lot. I looked for a lot of pictures. I don't know if any of them made it to the Vanity Fair party. Vanity Fair party, the sickest thing in the world. So many celebrities who don't even go to the Academy Awards go to the Vanity Fair party, and I'm just like, oh my god, where were all these people at the Academy Awards? This is insane. But no, that was great. And I'm happy for you being obviously the Spielberg fan, and that you get that nice moment because he wins and he goes to hand it to Ki Kwan, and Ki Kwan's the most likable, nice guy, is pointing at the producer, and you're just like, man, you're the most likable, nice guy to be like, no, that's the guy. God damn, you're so nice. But it's just the fact it's like the Encino Man joke, and then they both won, and there's that reunion, and then we talked about the Yo Frazier Mummy reunion, and it's like these like C-tier movies are getting like major, like their time in the sun again. And not saying that Temple of Doom is, but it's been like, kind of forgotten in the franchise as the middle child of the 2 superior ones. But it's like, you're right. And it's like, you have Indy giving the award to Short Round. They cut to Spielberg. Williams is behind him. Spielberg's wife was in the movie. That's where they like fell in love. You're like, man, is Temple of Doom a top 5 most important film of all time?
As far as I mean, people will always look at it as far as like time did not help Temple of Doom, as far like it ages pretty badly. But then you get this, moment for everyone
like, Temple of
involved.
Doom rules. So yeah. Okay,
And this is not this is of course won't be the last time we see Ki Kwan. He's going to be in Loki season 2.
Yeah.
I think he's got a pretty
show on
beefy
Disney
part
as
in
well
that.
too. He's Disney. Yeah, he's the Disney. They have
And half the cast of Everything Everywhere
it's
All at Once
Chinese
is going to American-born Chinese.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then yes, you're right. He I think plays the new head of the TVA. It looks like he's the head of the TVA for Loki. So he's going to be a big part, likable part, I'm sure, maybe a villain part of sorts. But yeah, he'll be
and
hot and heavy with Loki.
He gets edited into Dial of Destiny is what we're hoping for.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable.
Best Actress went to Michelle Yeoh. Well deserved for sure for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Was there any part of you where it was just like, maybe it's Blanchett, maybe they'll say her name?
No, like
she was there.
Up,
it's not like she was Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I had Yo and Frazier on my big ticket. I didn't touch them. As I said, you hear me talking about this a lot. My guaranteed locks, I didn't put them in because I didn't think that they were guaranteed locks. Because I'm like, shit, I don't want to wake up tomorrow and it be Butler, and Butler does the Rami Malek thing again. And I don't want to wake up tomorrow and they give it to Blanchett. But then once Jamie Lee Curtis wins, I'm like, oh, I should have put Yo on this ticket because she's going to win. So that's exactly what I did. Once Natu hit, I took that $1,000. I put it all on. I waited because Brendan Fraser's was first. So I put it all on Brendan Fraser because I'm like, hey, they won for makeup. Whale's winning this. He wins, cashes out. I take the winnings, put that all like $1,500 on Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh hit. I took that like $1,900, put it all on Everything Everywhere All at Once. I only made one like $100, but that's how I made a nice, cool $2,000 last night. So there was not one doubt. I let it ride on Fraser because I just knew, and I was like, okay, now it's lock time. All on Fraser, paid out. All on Yeoh, paid out. All on everything. So they all collectively helped me along my journey.
That's terrific. Michelle Yeoh was presented her Oscar by Jessica Chastain and Halle Berry, who the two of them share James Bond. They're both Pierce Brosnan Bond girls. I love it. Best Actor, Brendan Fraser.
Jessica Chastain was in which Bond?
No, she was not. Halle Berry.
Oh, I was just like, yeah, okay.
Halle Berry and Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh. Tomorrow Never Dies. I was like, what is Jessica Chastain? Was she like Rosamund Pike's understudy in Die Another Day?
She would hold out for Bond. She would need to play Bond in that if she was in one.
Chastain, also Jessica Chastain, your mask ain't helping you. I'm sorry. You're beautiful. That mask is not helping you in that room. Sorry.
Okay. Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Best Actor. He wins it, solidifying the two cast members from Encino Man in the room, winning Oscars in the same night. It's terrific.
It's just great. I just want to say too. I message you and Andrew every day. Was it not 2 years ago? I said Brendan Fraser will win for The Whale because it was a year ago. He signed on for Martin Scorsese. We'll talk about next year. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. He's got a supporting part in that. And I was like, holy shit. Brendan Fraser, because this is before The Whale even came out. This is probably like last February. And I was like, Brendan Fraser's probably so good in this upcoming Whale movie that Scorsese casts him for his next movie on the spot. So now I feel like it's been a 2-year saga from the time of Aronofsky, where I messaged you and was like, Brendan Fraser's going to win an Oscar. And he did. Crazy. I should have bet on that 2 years ago. What I wanted to ask you, too, is funny. We got to think about this. I was trying to think of it at the gym. I didn't really put too much work into it. Is there a director besides Darren Aronofsky who has directed a lead actor and lead actress in 2 separate different films? Because he directed Natalie Portman to an Oscar in Black Swan. Yeah. And now I'm trying to rack my brain, and maybe we'll do it off camera, on who's a director who has directed 2 films where the leads have won Oscars.
Yeah, I will have to think about
I don't know.
that.
No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I know, for sure.
Think of that. Because I'm like, I don't want to count David O. Russell because Bale and Leo won in the supporting categories and they won for the same movie. Same movie's kind of lame. But is there a director who's directed 2 winners? And it's got to be leads. And I have to think about that.
I'd have to double. I think Scorsese did for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore and Raging Bull.
Okay, that's a great one. I thought about that. I wasn't sure. I forgot that De Niro would have won for that. So that's probably it. So I got to look back to see if did Sidney Pollack do it with somebody? Certainly. You know what? No, Scorsese would have also done Paul Newman for Color of Money.
That's another one. Yep.
I know. So we got the lead actors there. Fascinating thing, because this is what I look at. Because as soon as Fraser won, I'm like, man, you want to win an Oscar, you go for Aronofsky. Aronofsky in an A24 movie, you got a leg up to win an Academy Award. So,
speaking of great directors, the best director, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schneider. The Daniels won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. They got up to the stage and said, "Thank you to our fellow nominees. You guys are our heroes." And they beat Martin McDonagh, Steven Spielberg, Todd Field, who I had to double when, as you know, Tar was gaining more and more popularity, and then I saw it. I had to double check who Todd Field even was, and he's one of the guys from Twister, which I thought was terrific.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's that cast is pretty big, so he's one of the storm chasers with Bill Paxton and
that's awesome. I gotta revisit it.
And Ruben Östlund, of course. Of course you were happy. Did you pick them? I'm sure.
Yeah,
I know I did. I picked Steven Spielberg. I'm sorry. I was about to say.
Okay.
So I thought it was going to be a split year.
At this point, I didn't have any money on the Daniels. They were on my other ticket, which again, if you're following betting, I had lost because Ruth Carter flexed her costume muscles. So that ticket, but I had it. I had it all. I had all that. So I regret not putting it on my money ticket, my big winner. But that's how it goes.
Yeah, and that was the speech where they came up and talked about thanking the teachers who obviously told them to go for their dreams, stuff like that. And finally, Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Daniels again win an Oscar along with their producing partner, Jonathan Wang. Or Wong. I didn't catch the pronunciation of his name.
No, but again, as we talked about, it was this runaway train, and it was exactly what we thought it would be.
And I'm not sure.
Vegas set their over-under at 5.5. They won 7, so with room to spare. So that's great. They were a runaway train. So what's funny is a lot of people are going to say, did the Oscars get it right? There's no way they didn't. It was one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year. I kind of had forgotten about it until December. Remember, I had messaged you guys and was like, it's making a lot of best in review of the year, and it had made a ton of money and bought in. And what's funny? Somebody pointed out on one of the podcasts today is it was released the last week of March last year, the weekend of the Academy Awards last year. So it's had a 12-month cycle. So they pointed out, and they're like, it probably won't change how movies are released for awards consideration, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is a movie that was released 12 months ago that was on VOD in the summer, which was then available to be reviewed in the fall and maybe the winter. So it was people that probably didn't get it or like it in the first viewing being able to revisit it. I'm not going to, but going to revisit it, appreciating it more, and then ultimately letting it snowball into the effect that it was, the juggernaut that it became. And I was like, that's a damn good point, because you're right. If that movie comes out in December, it's not making thousands of critics a year in review lists. It's probably too nuanced and might get like 2 or 3 nominations and maybe 1 win. But ultimately, it became one of the most celebrated movies. And like I said, people are going to sit back and say Tar should have won, or is Banshee's the best film? And I'm like, I guess not, because this movie made a ton of money. It was critically acclaimed, and it won a lot of acting and technical awards, and ultimately directing, screenplay, and writing. What else is there to do? There's nothing. There's nothing else to do. It won in every facet. There's never been movies short of Titanic or Lord of the Rings that have won critically acclaimed money and awards. Like, just
Right.
like, there's nothing else to do. It's the most popular. It's like if the quarterback was the debate coach, like what most popular, like most handsome. It's just there's nothing
Prom
else that
king.
could be good at. Yeah, there's nothing else. But it, like everyone loved him. There's nothing else that you could like. You can't nitpick anything about this movie as its movie's reputation, I should say.
I wasn't sure exactly of their exact credits, but Joe and Anthony Russo are also producers of the movie. But
You know, I
they
knew
were
that. I forgot about
further
that.
down the list that they don't get to walk away with Oscars.
That's interesting. Yeah, I do remember that they were promoting it heavily. You're right. I forgot that they were kind of associated with that. Cool. What else do you want to talk about?
I guess we hit everything. Nothing surprised us. We didn't think anything really got snubbed except maybe the Elvis one. That's the one that's
But
certainly
that's, I
the
mean, am I
thorn in
gonna go out here
in
and
your
go on a
side.
soapbox and scream about makeup and costuming? But I know
Right.
everything else. I'm be honest. If you follow even an inkling of the Oscars, you can't really be surprised. I think everything was as predicted. It was, kind of
And
where we were going.
it's interesting to call it a predictable year and still be exciting because of
Yeah.
who was nominated.
Of course, I know it was just a home run. That's why I thought it was a really funny, good. I thought Kimmel was great too. A lot of good jokes. A lot of the presenting was great too. I thought Majors and Michael B talking about cinematography and like how Orson Welles achieved shots, and they showed that stuff's phenomenal. I
Yeah.
like that. So I just think of those home runs across the board. Super likable, super famous people too. Like that's one thing that it's like, and it helps for my in-laws. They know Brendan Fraser because, it's the guy from The Mummy. They don't know that he was in The Affair season 3 and he was blacklisted in the Golden Globes. They don't know that. They know who he is. They know who Jamie Lee Curtis is. They know these people. It's not like Paul Mescal and who was in To Leslie. I forget her name. I know it's on. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's
Is
like,
it Adrian?
no, I can't remember. To Leslie, will come to me. She bribed and bought votes. I didn't
Andrea
even know.
Riseborough.
Yeah, Andrew Rusborough. She's in like a leather jacket with a shaved head. I was like, that's the first time they showed her all night. It's not like they
That's
won
true.
Oscars, and my in-laws are like, I don't know who that is. Even though Paul Mescal is in Gladiator 2, 10 years from now, he's going to be a megastar. But right now, we like stars. The stars won.
You want to talk about what's going to happen next year?
So I got some predictions, and I want to get this on celluloid. So I think next year, and I said this is a fun Oscars. I think next year's is going to be even better. I'm really excited by the slate of films that's dropping. I think, and I'm going to put it on now so I can screenshot this and come back. I think this time, 1 year from today, we are talking about the Academy Award winning remake of The Color Purple, which is coming out this Christmas.
Yes.
I think The Color Purple is going to be your best picture winner. I have a feeling that it's going to be a 2-dog race between The Color Purple and Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Apple TV's next foray. It's Martin Scorsese's big epic, big cast: De Niro, DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons in the lead. It's about serial killers on indigenous land and the hunt for that. And it's based on a true story. I think it leads to the creation of the FBI or the CIA. Now, I think that that's going to be coming in at like 11 or 12 nominations, a la Power of the Dog, a la everything this year. It's going to be the big one. I have a feeling, though, we're going to see Nolan winning Best Director for Oppenheimer.
Okay.
I have a feeling Fantasia Barrino, she's the lead of The Color Purple. It's a musical. That's your lead actress right there. I think finally, lead actor is going to be rewarded with Bradley Cooper directing his follow-up for From A Star Is Born, the Leonard Bernstein biopic Maestro that he also stars in. That's why I'm picking him for lead actor. I think he's going to win actor. I don't think anyone's going to beat Nolan for best director. I think that the stars are aligning. I think best director is going to be a phenomenal category next year. It's very likely that the nominees could be the young director of The Color Purple. His name escapes me. I looked at his credits. This is his second movie. I think he's a very young, hip music video director. He's going to bring a stylistic eye to that musical and an urban kind of feel. I think he's going to get the nomination. But the other names are going to be Scorsese, Bradley Cooper, Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, and Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. And Christopher Nolan is recreating a nuclear blast. I have a feeling that he's going to be rewarded for that. And I think that's going to be the big talking point for next year. So I got Cooper for the lead actor. I got Nolan for director, Fantasia for lead actress. Supporting categories are really tough. I can't tell you who's really going to be a supporting actress. I do think for his role in Oppenheimer, put a little money on Robert Downey Jr. in that film. I think he's playing like the chief advisor for J. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy. He'll probably also be nominated. But if you're looking at these stories, again, kind of like a Jamie Lee Curtis, very famous, Nepo baby, rewarded, overcome past demons, playing a pretty straight dramatic role in a big film. Look for Cooper and Downey Jr. Wow, unbelievable. And like I said, picture next year, it's going to come down between the two movies. The big kind of Hollywood epic, Scorsese, probably lose again. Feel bad, Marty, but it's probably going to be going back to that young, hip, stylized version of the Academy, which we know it is. That's the whole thing. This is the effects of Oscar So White. We're seeing movies like Moonlight and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I think it's just going to keep chugging along next year where the remake musical of The Color Purple is the one that's rewarded the big picture for next year. So I really wanted to get my picks on for next year because I think next year is going to be a really, really awesome show to watch.
I agree with. I was looking through movies coming out this year. I think yes, The Color Purple will need to have eyes on it, and I was excited. When they announced they're remaking The Color Purple, I was like, okay, do we need a remake? This is a musical remake, so it's completely.
It's based on the
than,
Broadway play, so yeah. I think it's going to hit all the boxes. I think it's going to bring back. It's like you're literally taking aspects of 12 Years a Slave, one Best Picture, Moonlight, one Best Picture, putting it with La La Land for 2 minutes, one Best Picture, and kind of blending them all together. And it's everything that the Oscars like. So I think that's going to be your big juggernaut next year.
But yes, Oppenheimer for sure. One that I'm hoping. Well, I need to see, some images in a trailer, but the name and his success in previous Academy Awards would be Taika Waititi's movie Next Goal Wins, which is about, the Dutch American coach who goes to American Samoa to make them, a squad, a contender squad as far as
so what's really funny now that you bring him, now that we're really going through original screenplay could be fun next year. You'll have Taika Waititi. You'll most likely have Wes Anderson. And you're going to have Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach in the Barbie movie. I think the Barbie movie is going to be like scintillating at next year's Oscars. If this movie is half as good as they've been hyping it up to be, your original screenplay could be three of like the most original minds in Hollywood putting together who have all been rewarded. That's pretty power too, man. And then there'll be some other ones that come up too, but that's just original. And those are three heavy hitters doing heavy hitter projects.
And, kind of without seeing a frame, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City is going to be production designed within an inch of its life. So they usually get awards. He'll probably team up with Alexander Desplat again for, a nice original peppy score. The next Academy Awards is something certainly to look forward to.
Yeah, cool. Glad that we just got that because that's what I want to put out there. So those are my picks too. But otherwise, this was fun. It was a fun category this year. It was a fun Oscar season. I'm always sad that it's over, but I'm glad that it went. There were some instances, a little bit of excitement leading up because after the Golden Globes, I said to you, I'm like, I think Banshees is going to come on, but then a lot kind of loses its steam, and it did. Yeah. And everything surged, and that's how it goes. It's kind of like an election. Sometimes the different nominees are up and down, and then it kind of solidifies, and then you're like, oh, that was kind of always it from the beginning.
So with that, I will thank everybody for watching these last 3 videos over the months of award season. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We will be back in some form of another over in this will not be the last time you see certainly the two of us before next award season. We'll be back, and stay tuned for more Mac Flash entertainment content in the next coming months. Scott, it's always great to talk about movies and awards with you, for sure. We'll do this again next year for sure. Thank you everybody for watching. We will see you next time.